So chat about books. Hi guys! So today I'm going to be doing a book review, and the book that I'm going to be reviewing is 1Q84, which is by Haruki Murakami. This is books 1 and 2 in a bind-up edition, and I got it from the library, which is why it's kind of wrapped up in this laminate thing to protect it. So I have never read any Haruki Murakami before reading this, but I did know that he was meant to be a really amazing writer, and that's why I really wanted to check out some of his work. I do own Norwegian Wood, which I have up on the shelf behind me, and I will hopefully be starting that in the next few months because that's quite a short one, definitely short compared to this one anyway. This volume of the two books together comes to just over 600 pages, so it's quite a monster, and there is another third book as well that I haven't got because it's not in this, but I actually have another copy of this book back at my mum's house. It's her copy, so when I go back I will definitely be reading book number 3 in this final trilogy type series and see how it all finishes. So the first thing I would like to say about this is that it's a really interesting and hard to describe story in all senses of the word, and really I did not know that I would go through so many different feelings and thoughts and ideas whilst reading it, because I honestly had no idea what it was about when I picked it up and just where it was going to go or anything at all like that, so I really didn't have a clue. Also, it is called 1Q84, which is basically an ode to George Orwell and his 1984 book. However, I have not read 1984, and that does not matter. I was a little bit worried going into it that it would mean that I wouldn't understand a lot of the passages or that 1984 would be completely spoiled for me, but neither of those things happened, and although it is an ode to 1984, it really does not sort of spoil it or ruin it in any way, so if you haven't read it, do not worry, it doesn't matter that much, it's just referencing, and it's only a few references throughout the entire book, so you really will not be spoiled or worried by any of the stuff in here. There are a large amount of sex scenes in this book. It is definitely an adult work. Some of the people who've read it have criticised it for the pure amount of descriptions of breasts and so on. I personally didn't find it to be that irritating. I thought that it was definitely a flaw in the characters, but it was a flaw that I enjoyed and that I thought was kind of necessary to their characters and to the plot of the story, so I didn't find it to be anyway derogatory to women or anything like that. I just thought that they were flawed characters, and it's the man and the woman both have a flawed personality, so it's not really a big issue for me. However, if you are kind of sensitive towards sex, or if you are younger, beware, there is a lot of sex and a lot of descriptions of nudity in this book, so just to make you guys aware of that before you read it. So the general story itself is told from 2 points of view, and they are our 2 main characters. Aomami, who is essentially a working woman, she is a kind of judo muscle therapist type person. She's kind of got all those qualities about her, kind of a bit of a kick-ass role, and she knows what she's doing and she's very confident, and she has a very sort of solid life from the outside, but when you delve a little bit deeper into her personality, you can see that she's got a lot of insecurities and she's actually quite a lonely individual. And then the other main character is called Tengo. He is a struggling writer. He's trying to find his vision and create a masterwork that will sell instantly and be a bestseller and just be the pinnacle of all of his writing, and he really doesn't know where he's going with it. He has no vision at the start of this about what he wants to write about, and really all of his projects in the past haven't gone that well, so he wants to find his own way and figure out what his message will actually be. He has a passion for mathematics and he teaches at a local school. He's very passionate about maths and he loves to share his knowledge with the students, who all think he's very engaging and exciting. He's quite a strange individual because he prefers the company of older women. He doesn't like people his own age. He has a very sort of awkward connection with people his own age, so he loves to go for older women, and he also likes the convenience of dating married older women because this means that there's no connection there, there's no sort of attachment. He's very split off from that woman if he doesn't want to see her. They just meet up, have sex, and that's it, really. Tengo is quite a sort of conscientious character. He doesn't like to get involved in anything that he kind of considers to be wrong morally or that he doesn't agree with. However, in the story it kind of comes to a few different points where he has to make a decision about what he thinks is right and which direction he's going to go, and this does lead him to taking part in some activities that maybe he wouldn't normally have done so. Aomami, on the other hand, she's quite different. She is also conscientious and very sort of easily discerns people's ideas and what they're thinking. She can read people very well. Her sexual partners are very much a more constant. She goes for a certain type of man. She doesn't like to have the same sort of relationship going on, such as Tengo, but she does enjoy going out, having sex every now and then, and she likes to do that with older men, particularly those who are somewhat bald or thinning hair. She has a little bit of an infatuation with that. A little strange, but again, it's a flaw in her personality and it's a characteristic of her, so I had no issue with that personally. Working as a muscle therapist is only one of Aomami's jobs. She actually has another job which is rather vital to the plot of the story, and it's kind of very top secret, very on the edge of the law, and it's certainly an interesting job, and the reasons behind why she does it I thought were very intriguing and definitely connected with me, and you will know if you've read it what I mean, but it's definitely an interesting job that she has, and she feels like she's making the world a better place gradually, but I'll let you read it and find out what her other job is. One of the other main characters in this is Fuka Iri, and Fuka Iri is basically another character from the story. She is a key character, but we don't actually see from her point of view. She's quite a cryptic character, and she seems to know a lot more than she lets on, especially about the sort of fantastical elements that come into the story a little later on and that we really don't know that much about. She seems to know a lot but not be able to actually tell people about it. She's very much kind of trapped in her own head and she can't get across the thoughts that she would like to, perhaps, which makes it a lot more cryptic and exciting and definitely an intriguing and enthralling read. When it comes to segments of her, I really enjoyed her as a character, and I thought that she was definitely one of the better characters in the story, who was not quite as personality flawed, even though she does have scars from the past. So some of the key elements that I really enjoyed were the writing style. I definitely think that Haruki Murakami's writing style is so unique, and it's definitely his own voice that you can feel across the story, and honestly I've never read any writing style that is similar to his, and it's very, very interesting the way that he phrases things and the way that things come together. And I must say that honestly throughout most of this story there was a layer of ambiguity that I really did not know what was going to happen, and I had no way of guessing how the strings were all going to come together, which is something quite different to YA, which is often very predictable. And with this I had so many ideas of what I thought might happen, but none of them were on point, and that's just far more exciting in my view. I honestly love it where you just sort of see the story unfold and you don't know where it's going to go, but it's just much, much more exciting that way, or at least I believe it is. So I really enjoyed that, and I definitely would recommend his writing style to any of you. If you want to start with a shorter book, that's probably okay, because this one's a little bit of a giant, but if you know that you like his work, definitely check this out. I also really love the character development. A lot of the character development is shown through the sort of inner contemplation of the characters, that we really we see their inside thoughts when they meet new characters, and the descriptions that they give of the other characters, that very much tells you sort of their opinions and sort of the way that they discern what they know about the people that they meet and the way that they kind of connect with those people. It tells you a lot more about their personality. There's also a few scenes which sort of date back into the past of the characters, and that really helps us as well to understand where they came from and how they know each other and how everything interconnects. But it is very much a sort of keep guessing the whole way through kind of novel, because I really didn't know where the ending was going to go, and I still don't, because I haven't read book 3 yet. So I really didn't kind of know what genre Murakami kind of fell into, but after reading this I still don't really know what genre this would fall under, but I know that it does have sort of fantastical, mystical elements. There are kind of these magical, parallel world type things going on, and there are kind of mystical creatures. I don't know if you could technically call them that or what they're technically meant to be, but it's very much an open-ended sort of, you can make them what you want them to be, kind of mystical creature.
I don't know if this is making any sense.
But literally I didn't realise there was going to be anything at all remotely fantastical, and when I got to that part of the story it made me far more interested, because obviously I love fantasy, and although this is nothing like high fantasy in any way, having those few kind of mystical, magical elements in there really brought the story to a whole new level in my view, and that made me want to just keep reading it and find out how these things were going to play their part in the story and what that was all going to amount to. So on the whole, I would say that if you like adult stories and if you like brilliant writing style, superb narration and very good character development with a hint of kind of fantastical, magical thrown in there, then this is definitely a really good read. I don't know if I would recommend this to be your first Haruki Murakami because I haven't read any others. I really enjoyed kind of starting with this monster book of his, and I definitely want to read more of his work and see what he's all about in the other stories that he tells, and also finish this off. But if you perhaps don't want to start with this, then a lot of his books are a lot shorter, so you should definitely look up some of his other books and see what sounds like it would appeal to you. The only reason I didn't give it 5 stars, I ended up giving it 4 stars instead, was because there are a lot of open-ended questions that I really don't know the answers to yet, and that I really want to know the answers to. So very much hoping that book 3 will give me some of those answers, and then I can bump it up to a 5-star rating once I've read book 3. Yeah, overall Haruki Murakami, very good writer, and I'm very excited to see more of his work in the future. If you've got any recommendations of other books by him that you think I should read, definitely let me know down below. The only other ones that I own are book 3 of this series and Norwegian Wood, so any others that you guys have read or would recommend are highly appreciated. And thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye! Me and you gonna have a little chat.